need a report designer for productivity, and we must be able to work on different platforms. We will look at every point in the next presentation. Smalltalk. Smalltalk is a fantastic language, but it has always had problems on the report generation. I remember at the time of digital Smalltalk, there was a report engine, there was a part engine to generate report, but nothing really industrial grade, nothing really user-friendly. For a long time, we used it when we were working on VisualWorks Smalltalk. We integrated Jasper Reports. There was a really nice stuff 10 years ago. It was free. It was a DLL using Visual Age also. Using VisualWorks, it was really easy to integrate. But now it works just only in Windows. It's possible to use the different placement. You have to pay a lot of money, so it was not a choice. There are PDF libraries done in Smalltalk. One is done by the guys, the report for PDF. But when we needed to use it, they missed some of the functionality we wanted. And someone was more technical, one was we need a report designer. We have this problem. We would like to be able to generate different kind of output from the output format from the same report based on user request. So the user choose, I need a PDF, I need an HTML, I need a text from the same report. And this should be done with the minimum change on the code base, if possible for free, if it is possible. Report designer. If you have a common reporting problem where you do tabular data, the report designer is not something that you need a lot, because you can make some general infrastructure and generating on demand the tabular data. Also, if you have a minimum PDF support. But if you have a customer that changes the needs every day, if you have just a customer that you want to modify the look and feel, the look of the report, if you have frequent change, a graphical designer is a must, because you design the report and you have the output you see in a quite easy way. So those are our constraints. And we also wanted something that goes in different platforms as a VisualWorks goes. So, for example, this report was not a first class choice for us. Now, Jasper Reports. Okay, what is Jasper Reports? If you look if you Google around, Jasper Reports is born like a small library, completely open source. It now is a company that built a lot of products around that and is growing every year. It's the most popular reporting engine in the Java world. This is what they say from the side. It is the most popular used reporting engine. It's LGPL, so it's completely free to use. It can generate report reading data not only from database, but you can define different kind of data sources, also your own, and you can generate report reading from Excel. They are now connecting to some of the new NoSQL databases, so it is quite interesting. But it is completely Java based. Okay. It is a very large community, and so is developed and maintained. It is also around this starting nucleus. There is a company that sells a product behind based on this. But the original library is still free. So they kept this, what is called the Jasper Report library, free, and they based all their products around this reporting library. Jasper Reports needs a report definition file for printing a report. The report definition file is an XML file where Jasper Report needs all the information it needs to be able to design the report, to print the report based on the data source you specify. And so there are information about data source, about what to print, where, when, how, some rules, exception, I don't show a field. So you can make some really complex stuff written in this XML file. The XML file is compiled by a Java class in a Jasper file, and this Jasper file is user runtime. The interesting thing is that this XML file can be generated by hand, can be generated programmatically, but can be generated using a report design. This is exactly what we need. So why we use a Jasper report? It's Java, so we have portability. I'm not a fan of Java, but that was ready and to be used. So why not use it? Why just to reinvent what is already there? The report design available is really good. It fulfills our report generator needs. And at the end, it's just a Java library to be used. So it should be quite easy to be used also for people that doesn't know so much of Java. Now the problem is, we have a Smalltalk application. So how can we use a Java library? There are two possibilities. Both works, but we use the second one. One is connect directly to the Java library using some integration stuff, some Java bridge, and there are some available. The other is just doing something more simple, using HTTP and create a server based on Jasper Reports. If you want to connect Smalltalk to Java directly, there are at least two bridges that I know. Java Connect and GNI port. And we use a GNI port at the beginning, and it worked. But we haven't chosen that solution. That could be one available. It depends on what kind of Java knowledge you have, because the second one, using HTTP, requires that you know something more about web server and Java servlet and some stuff like that. The other one requires just that you know how to connect to an external language. Okay, it's like something close to connecting to a C library. Not exactly the same because you have classes, but it's not. You don't have to know a lot of Java to be able to use this library. Using HTTP means to create a web server that runs the Java library and send a request to this web server from the Smalltalk side to have a report done. We choose the solution because the server we built is usable. So we can call it from a Smalltalk side, but being a generic web server that answers requests to print report in some way, I can use the same web server from other programs developed, for example, C#. Okay? So it's a general usage, and there is another solution, another reason. We can scale this server in a different way, so it's something that we scale in the Java side of the world. It's scaled with the thread, with the CPU that are in your machine, so it solves some problem by itself that are a common problem in Java solved when you have to scale using more than one core in your machine. But we could choose this solution because we have an infrastructure for building reports that allows this solution. The first thing is we have a database, a relational database behind, and the relational database is the only connection between the Java board and the Smalltalk board. So what's happened? Our application generates some data on the database, send the minimum information to the report engine, and the report engine working on the same tables can extract data and generate the report. So the connection point is a call via web server to say a Jasper report to print one report. Jasper report knows the reports because he has all the JRXML that we talked before. And in the call we send some parameter, and then Jasper goes connected to the same Postgres database, getting the data from there and generating the reporting. So I will try to give you an idea of what we do, what is our reporting framework. Okay, for us, a report is something against generated, always generated against a database table. We don't use any other source of data. Only the extraction rules are maintained in the report definition. So our Jasper report XML file keeps only information about how to select data from the table, but there is absolutely nothing related to business rules inside. Okay? All business logic, if needed, is created in Smalltalk. So when we define a report, we have two possible kind of report. One is a report that reads something that is already there. For example, give me a list of customers. Nothing to do. Just create the report in Jasper report, and send Jasper report the request to print that report, eventually passing some parameter. And Jasper report can look on the database, the data is already there, and you can print. The second case is we have to generate a report based on some computation. For example, we have to make analysis on some kind of data, and we have to print the end result of this analysis. In this case, we have a two-step job. We have a generation phase that is done in the Smalltalk. Smalltalk creates report tables on the database. The report, Jasper report has been designed to look at that reporting table. Smalltalk sends information about the report to send to print, and also how to get the column, the selection information, some parameters, and Jasper report read data and print the report. So all the logic is kept in the Smalltalk side, and the Jasper report is just doing the minimum stuff that a reporting engine should do, printing information in some graceful way. Okay, eventually make sum or make sorting and something like that. Nothing more. No business rule inside the Jasper report. Okay. Just extraction rules. Select, sort, order by, something like that. And in our application, a report is more than a report, like I said before. Because we have a job. Every report is the job, and the end product of a job is a report. It's a job that has several steps, because there is a scheduled step. Okay, obviously there is another step. You have to design the report in the Jasper report side. So you define a report. For that report, you have a corresponding job in the Smalltalk side. This job can be scheduled. That means I run a report. I'm a customer. I ask a report for tomorrow. So I put the information on the system. The information will be saved in a database table, and there is a scheduler running on the back that will create a report request tomorrow, or every first day of the month, or something like that. There is an execution phase. This execution phase could exist or not, depending on the kind of report. If there is business logic, there is an execution phase. If the report is just reading data already on the database, there is no execution phase, because we don't need it. The list of customers is already there. Okay? There is a generation phase. Build a report from the data. There is a dispose phase. That is, when I generate a report, I can send the report to different places. Send it by mail, send it by faxes, printing, display on the windows of the browser. So the report is generated by Jasper Report on a fixed directory. Smalltalk waiting on the other side, take the generated file, the generated file, and move the file to the destination directory. And from that destination directory, a process will bring the report and will move wherever it should be moved. For example, there is a directory for mailing, and every report that is gone there has associated information to be mailed to someone. There is a directory for faxing, there is a directory for printing, and all the report has associated information about how it should be printed. Okay? So dispose is moving to the destination. Delivery is sending the report where it should be sent. The job knows a lot of things. This is our job's description. It knows about the reporting device where the report should be sent. It knows what is the application that should be informed that the job is ready. So this is an application that is able to read the job data and to do what it's also doing, generating the report. Regis is just business information about who is the customer connected to the report. The job knows the printing layout, that is the name of the Jasper report, the JRXML to be used to send that report. That is the only information the Jasper report needs, more the information to specialize in the report. He knows about the scheduling. There is a scheduling that runs to try to find the jobs to be run. Jobs can be schedulable or run once. Run once are the jobs that are created and printed once and finished. Okay, and those are the more important. This is just an abstract of the job description that keeps information in a compact way, just for not using for not going around with a database maintained information. This is an object that is not saved anywhere. This is an object. This is like a data transfer object in a more in a term like used in Microsoft domain. Okay, so those are all jobs. Like you see, the job and the scaling keeps a lot of information. For example, the date and the time to send the resulting of the reporting stuff. Jobs are saved as job description in a database. A job is a general thing. For example, it declares how to call a particular record as, I don't know, printing sale for a customer for 1 month. What you have to give to Jasper report when you run the reports is define what is the customer you have to print the record for, and eventually what is the amount I have to look up. Okay? Those information are maintained on what we call a query object. They are serialized, they are saved, and they are recovered when we have to send the job. When the job is, because our problem is to keep information about the job in the database and reuse the information several times. When the job is scheduled, the selection data is serialized, and we can restart the process that was frozen when we selected the job description. We have a number of reporting devices, as I told you before, so we can send report to different staff. And we have this is an example of the transition state for one of the type of job that we use. It is idle in a way to be scheduled. It is scheduled, to be executed, generated, disposed, and disposed of the last things that a jobs care, because the other stuff sending, delivery is done by another system in our application. So we are defining we have the scheduling that is defined when the report should run, generation that is executing the local job, execution that is running the data extraction, dispose, move the printout to the interface to the intermediate repository, and delivery is sending to the final destination. And Jasper Report is used just in the execution phase. So we have a Smalltalk process. The job stops on the Smalltalk side when we have to generate the report. We call Jasper Report. Jasper Report read the job from the same database, go ahead and change the status of the job when he has printed the report, and the ball comes back on the Smalltalk ends. Okay, so we have just a minimum of functionality that Jasper Report should do for us. So, some detail for people that will be interested in what is going on the Java side. Jasper Report runs on a Java inside of a Java web server. It gets a request for printing report via HTTP, and the printing request includes data for identify the report and also to send parameter to select the correct data on the database. You write the report in the intermediate directory and wait for the next call. Obviously, the web server is multi-threaded, so you can have many concurrent reporting execution on the same server. We try to do a small web server. Jasper Report has a Jasper server, but it's a huge thing. It is also not free, and it does everything, but it's more a general usage for an end user point of view, not for a programmer point of view. We wanted something really small and easily adaptable. So we decided to develop our Jasper web server in Java. So first thing, we have to find a Java web server. There are many on the market. There are many open source. Tomcat is probably the most famous. But they are usually big. We find one really small. This is the point to their website. It is free. It is very small. It is able to manage a servlet. That is what we did. Okay. So we use that guys for build our Java web server. Creating a web server is not a big problem. The problem is there are just two things to remember. One is multi-thread, so don't do stupid things that are the same like in Smalltalk and make something like variable, instance variable, or something like that in a class that should be multi-threaded and should not keep the states on something like that. Google helps to do the stuff, so it was not a difficult problem. But there are some problems connected to the fact that we have to send information using Smalltalk. What we decide to do on the server, we have to do just two simple things: execute report synchronously, execute report asynchronously. Sorry, this is asynchronous. Sorry for the mistake. Okay, those two things are more easier. And we have also some management service, knowing about the server state and compiler reports. Like I told before, that XML should be compiled before running. And you can compile so you don't have, you save the compilation time when you run the report the first time. Okay? The two most interesting are those two, the synchronous and the asynchronous. A report synchronous is a report that is generated on the fly, and the Smalltalk wait for getting the information that the report is ready. This is the case when you have a customer that wants to see the report on his web page. You cannot forget the report. You have to close the loop. So we send information with a report. The report gets generated, but move it to the final destination, that is a place that is reachable from the Smalltalk web server, and this will be Smalltalk will go there and will show the report to the customer. Oh, this is a sequence. Okay. Asynchronous means something that is long running. I ask for a report that lasts for 2 hours. Okay, I cannot stay there. So we send to Jasper a request to a report. Jasper say only OK or bad or KO if it is failed for some reason. But the OK means OK, I get your request. I am putting that on working on the background. The report will be ready later time, and we have the scheduler that will look for with the change of state of your job. The job description is on a table, is saved on a table of Postgres. So both Smalltalk and Jasper can see the same information, and the job description keep the state, the changing state of every job. Okay, so when Jasper report finish, just send information changing the state on the job description. On the Java side, what we have to do is to spawn a thread from the servlet thread to have this process running by itself and finishing the report. That could be probably half an hour of work or something like that. Management services are because we work in Smalltalk. We wanted to be able to know something about what is happening in the background, because this is a Java web server, so you can do anything if you don't have log. It's not Smalltalk. So this is a way to know what's happened. We make some services to have the information and services to compile everything. From the Java point of view, things are quite easy. We have a servlet that is something like a Smalltalk servlet. It's a servlet, so something that is able to answer to get or post request. Okay, Java and Smalltalk are quite close in the way they manage the information. The server receives a report request, that is the information sent by Smalltalk. This report request is written on the URL. Okay, is the query on the query parameter of the URL. Okay. So you recreate the report request, start a thread for generating a report, sending the information. Eventually, if the report is not compiled, it compiles the report, but if we have compiled it before, this never happened. It uses the job description for communication and creates the report. So we have just 7 classes for doing all we need, plus the Jasper report library. So it's not a big work. Just one thing, if you have a question, because this is an experience, so if you have a question, whatever you want to ask it. And at the end, I have all the stuff, including a complete workspace for Eclipse in the case with the report server, and also the Smalltalk classes in my USB. So if you want, I can give you, so you can look at that. This is just something to look for information for the future, or for to see if you can replicate. Okay, the other problem with Java is you usually have a bunch of jar files that are, and so the best thing to do is when you have the application is to deliver as a single big jar. There is an option and a plugin for, I don't know, there are probably more, but this is the one I know, that is doing exactly that job. When you have a Java project in Eclipse, you can generate one single big jar. So the only things you need to run that report server is a Java virtual machine and this jar that brings everything it needs. So it's quite simple also the delivery. Okay. We have a generated jar of 19 megabytes, but probably we can reduce because we have a lot of, we leave there all the standard Java library, probably a lot are not needed, okay? So if you have to generate a fat jar, that is a plugin you can use in Eclipse. Well, now we have the problem from the other side. We have to call this report server. If you want to just to send a request for executing a report, it's not a problem. You can manage something on the URL parameter that say report name equal something, and you can run. But the problem is that we have to pass parameter that can be quite different because one report can allow to select the customer name, the date, or I don't know, the author can permit to select, send me the list of all customers that spend more than 1,000 million every year or something. So you have to pass data that are different types, depending from the report request. So the problem is we have to communicate also data type on the other side because Java doesn't know. Okay, Jasper Reports will receive information and we have to recreate information that Jasper Reports is able to digest. Jasper Reports is Java, so we have to send, to give him the exact type of the data. The information, we send information on the get and the post. And what we did was to define a really small Marshall and Marshall system able to generate a query parameter with type information inside on a small type definition language, something that was really easy to do. And we have a Smalltalk side, some classes to generate this piece of information. And on Java, on the Java side, when the query parameter are received, we are able to pass back on the correct type. For Smalltalk, what we did is to define two standard methods on every basic type that is able to say, as Jasper type, send information on the tag for that type in our framework. As Jasper parameter string, create a string in a precise format for that kind of data. For example, for the data type, we have this format. For number, we have another format, and so on. Okay, so it's quite easy. So in this way, we generated the query parameter with type information. On the
In that previous step, you're sending the information to the database server to generate an SQL statement?
No. The SQL is just written in the Jasper report. The extraction, the rule for extraction is written in Jasper report. Where when you define a report in Jasper report, you say which table to use, and you can say select write in the SQL to selection data. But you write this SQL with parameter, and those parameters are they have usually default values, and you can override this parameter when you run the report because you can send also an array of parameter values.
And that's what you're doing in this?
Yes,
okay.
We send this array, and this array will be get translated on a Java array of types of information, and that information is sent to the report engine that will set the internal variables
in there.
Okay, and after, so you have select for the customer we want and not for the customer no one.
Yes.
Okay. On the other side, it was simple also because we did a method that is get object from string, and it takes the type, that is the type sent to URL, that is the type defined on the Smalltalk side. It takes the value on the query parameter, and it gives back the right object for Jasper report. What we also did in Smalltalk, the Smalltalk side, is building 9:30, is the end of the talk. Yeah, okay. We did a small bunch of supporting classes, just wrapping of the system, so the developer don't need to know the detail. They have just 2 classes to manage. They fill up the classes and they can send a report in the way. So fundamentally, we have a report print request that has a report name that is the report, the Jasper report, the JRXML file that defines that report. The media type means I need a PDF, I need HTML, I need something like that. The output name means, okay, generate the report with a file with this name, okay? Parameters, that are the parameters that you have to send to the report. It depends on the report, so this is dynamically depend on is an array of value, k-value pair. Job ID is the reference of the job description. So Jasper report on the other side can look at the same record on the database and take the job and say what's happened. Is the bug is a flag that we put in the query parameter to enable or disable deep level debugging trace on the Java. Okay, Java is a blind server, so you need to do something. If something goes wrong, you have to make as much debug as you want. So this way, we on the Smalltalk side, we can command the debug level on the other side. Java code is just a way to group jobs when you have to make more than one report on the same code. So, and when you have this report print request, you create an instance of report executor, say to report executor, execute this report print request. So everything in the Smalltalk side from the developer is generating this print request and send an executor to a report executor that is able to connect to the other side and do all the stuff. We have also another class that is a report server console, but it's just a small visual stuff for sending those 2 messages, compile all check status of the report, just to know it is the report is alive, the report server is alive. So Java has a lot of code. Why not use it? Why not use it when it is good for the job you have to do? Instead of inventing the wheel every time, probably sometimes it could be fine to use what is already done. Also, it is in the different languages. You can. It's not so difficult to talk with using Java because yes, it's not simple, but you can do something also easily if you want. If you are going on the J2E stuff and doing a lot of with the Java server faces or I don't know what, it's an nightmare. But some simple things can be done in a simple way also in Java. In this way, you can have more free time for working a better Smalltalk application instead of just reinventing what is already been done from somewhere else, and also to maintain. Okay, so that's all. I have some more. If you need some more info, this is my mail. If you need the stuff I have here, I can show you, but it's really a stupid show. I can show you what's happening, but it's everything behind the scene. We can see, I hope, because it depends on the. I hope to be able to have it running. Okay, first just a look at what is. Do you know I can switch the screen to look at my. Program here. Okay, wonderful. Okay. This is the Java workspace for Eclipse, and this one is the Jasper Report fact. That is the things you should run for having a report running. Okay, try to use the mouse because I am not a lover of that. The mouse if I have, but I don't find it.
Giorgio,
Yeah?
have you implemented this in multiple applications?
No, we have this is the first application where I use it.
And what is the data model in the database for the data? Is it relational or is it serialized object?
No, it's a relational data one. Complete relational. I have an RM, so everything is relational. I work on the object on the Smalltalk side, but there is an object relational mapping that gather the data and recreate the object on Smalltalk.
Giorgio, we have 3 minutes.
Okay. I have the resolution of the screen is. Let me see if I can have something started. Okay. I can start the Smalltalk. This is, it should be the just a minute. Probably this is the right indeed. Here is a this is the report console. This is something really brute force because we use it internally. This report is running, and this is the URL where it's running. Oh, another thing that we usually send with the report when we request a report is also the connection string. Because we can use the same report server for several applications looking at different databases. So we send for every request of the reports also the connection to, of the database where to look for data. So we can have one only server for multiple applications or multiple servers for one application, depending on the case you have. Okay, the compiler is just doing, we can do a refresh status to, and we can stop the server, probably. Okay, and now I cannot run the server from here, but I have to start from Java and make it restart. Okay, now the system is started again. If I make a refresh, okay, running. And now stuff of this, and looking for something to paint. This one that has, this travel agency stuff. So this is a voucher for when you leave. Want to see the voucher? Okay. It doesn't happen because I have some breakpoint to show you what is going behind, but is too late.
I'm supposed to let you know that the general session is.
Okay, I finish. This is the end result. This is the report generated by the underlying system. It is being delivered to the place where it could be recovered from Smalltalk and presented to the user. Okay? So if you need the stuff, it is here and I can give you without any problem.
Thank you.
Okay.